What do we know about where these warships are now and what they're doing?
Well, Tom, as you'll recall, over the weekend they were continuing to conduct live fire exercises according to New Zealand's military, which is working closely with Australia on tracking the movements of this PLA Navy task group. This morning we learnt via the New Zealand Defence Department that the warships were gradually getting closer to Australia again after being further away in the Tasman Sea. But I can read to you from a statement that has just arrived from the Australian Defence Department. It's reporting now that the Chinese task group is 160 nautical miles east of Hobart. That's considerably closer than it was over the weekend, so it is making its way towards the Australian waters, and it is now entering Australia's exclusive economic zone, which it's entitled to do, but it did so in the early hours of this morning.
Yeah, put that in context for us. What does that mean, having the Chinese warships in Australia's EEZ? Is that a serious thing?
Look, it's something that all navies do, particularly when there are military exercises happening in Australia. Every 2 years there's the Talisman Sabre multinational exercises. Every year that they occur, the Chinese will send a surveillance ship that sits off the Australian coast within the EEZ, and it's perfectly entitled to do so under international law. What is causing concern for Australia, and is again repeated in this Defence Department statement, is that there is very little transparency from the Chinese about what they're doing. Again, they're not compelled to do that, but when there are live firing exercises taking place in areas where there's a lot of air traffic, as we've heard from Air Services Australia, it's expected that all international militaries give at least 12 to 24 hours notice. That clearly did not occur on Friday.
Just on that transparency issue, we heard last night from Air Services Australia that it was a Virgin pilot who first alerted them to these Chinese warships conducting that live fire activity. How unusual is that?
Well, the Australian Defence Force would say that when its Navy conducts live fire exercises, even up as far into the South China Sea as it can go, it does telegraph these in advance with notice to airmen or NOTAMs. That didn't occur on Friday. It was first really relayed to authorities here via a Virgin Airlines pilot who was hearing it on an emergency frequency transmission. And that's the problem that Australia is pointing to, and that's what appears to be different.